Yo, fam, what it do? My name is 7 Fig Sekou, and I'm gonna be walking you through this banger thread that I wrote like 17 years ago. And back then, I was only a six-figure seller. So now we are officially a seven-figure seller. So by the end of this thread, it just won't apply anymore, and I'll just draw out the rest of the picture. But basically, I'll be walking you through my journey, my entire 4 years as an Amazon seller, online seller, eBay seller. It's been a lot of different changes, been a lot of different steps, hurdles, all those different things. And we're going to walk through all that stuff here. So let's start at the top. How I started a 6-7 figure business selling stuff from Walmart out of my one-bedroom apartment. Thread on how a printer in a dream replaced my 9 to 5 and changed my life. Now this little image here, I still have this laptop. It's kind of dead because literally one side just completely fell off. This printer, I have one of its kind of disciples because this one also broke, but I use the same exact printer, and I'm about to get a new MSI too because I can't stand MacBooks. But this was like a one-bedroom apartment, and I used to store all of my inventory right here or next to my bed. You feel me? And I had zero space at all. I was packing on the floor. I was storing next to where I basically sleep, and that's kind of how I got my start selling things on eBay. I would just go to Walmart to really Walmart. There really wasn't too many suppliers I was tackling back then. It was just straight up just Walmart. And I would buy all their weights. I would buy clippers. I would buy pools, kiddie pools, a ton of that stuff. And I would just list it on eBay. And that's how I made a lot of my money when I first quit my 9 to 5. And just that, it doesn't sound like much, but just that alone was able to completely replace my 9 to 5 income. So in terms of how I started, I used to work at Whataburger. You feel me? I used to flip burgers for a full-time income. So when I tell you I replaced my income, your boy wasn't making much. 11 times 2,000, I was making like 22K a year. You feel me? This is at 19. Or was it 19? This is at 19. Yeah, this was like the best I could do. 19 or 18, right? And I just wasn't doing too much. You feel me? I was in college, but I sucked at school because I was trying to juggle a late night, basically the graveyard shift and a full-time 9 to 5 shift manager working a job that, no one, bro, they used to do me nasty. They used to do me bad. Basically, I was super young and I was a shift manager. There was people older than me that's been there longer than me that weren't shift managers. So of course they didn't really like the idea of me being that guy in that position, even though it's just a little fast food restaurant. It's like, why are we playing hierarchy here? So they basically stepped on me every chance they get. And me being the doormat at 18 they did whatever they wanted. And I would just, so graveyard shift, there would be 3 people on the shift. 2 guys, me and the other 2 people that would work in the shift would go outside and smoke. And I would take the orders, make the food, shake the fries, pack the order, take their money. I would do everything. They had me running back and forth. Plus I had to do like my extra tasks as a shift manager. So when I tell you I was getting ran into the ground at that job and no one really cared. So when I left, bro, best believe I was happy to find something to replace that income and just create a situation for myself where I didn't have to rely on being treated like trash just to make nothing, just nothing. I think 11 or 13 was how much I was making at the time, just disrespectfully nasty money. So the worst part about that job was you're surrounded by people that are in that position. You see what I'm saying? So you have people who've been there for 10, 5, 7 years, a very long time in terms of years. And this is it. This is all they do, right? This is all they plan to do. And all of their future plans are dependent on this current job, this current income. And I looked at, I didn't like my life at the time. So it felt like I was already devastated at the young, ripe age of 19. It felt like I had nowhere else to go. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this saved me from something I do consider to be, a pretty dark place in life. And it wasn't just a rat race. I feel like it's a little bit worse than that, because your rat race is kind of like your white collar office job where it might be a soul sucking environment, but you're making decent money and you're not like behind a grill being burnt to death by fry dust and fries air and dirty oil. Going home smelling like dirty oil every day is gonna make you feel some type of way. So I just think having a business you can start was a game changer for me. So the way I started was I asked Google, how do I make money online? And of course, they tell me all these crazy things here. But there was a very nice Hispanic guy who talks about a bunch of different side hustles like print on shirts, and he just does a bunch of different side hustles. And he talked about flipping used shirts on eBay. And I don't know why this one stuck to me, but I guess it just seemed plausible. And I started with it and I did it. And I generated some type of money, but I didn't make any money for the amount of work I was doing. I was doing a lot of work and nothing was really selling. Like, this is all I did for like 2 months. This is January, February, and March for like 3 months actually. And I didn't do much. That's what I'm trying to say. So for like 2020, January, February, and March, this was all I did. And I'm hitting stores, I'm listing inventory, and it just wasn't a ton of bang for your buck, bang for your hours invested. So I continued, you feel me? It wasn't an immediate jump into a profitable Amazon business. You feel me? So it took a lot of trial and error just to find that thing that was my thing. And then 4 years later, multiple 7 figures sold. Here we are now, and we know what we know. But before then, we were completely lost and had no idea where we were going to go. So, we're still working, right? Almost going to eventually retire the shirt flipping business because, of course, it's not producing. We found this guy, Chris Johnson, and he's what introduced me to Money Twitter. So this Twitter ecosystem where there's just a bunch of guys talking about finances, wealth, building businesses, he's what kind of brought me into that ecosystem back in 2020. But he talked a lot about dividends, and I bought someone else's course on dividends. But of course, dividend investors make like 4% annually return. It didn't take long to realize that wasn't going to help me become rich overnight. You feel me? And it's not like we were trying to become rich overnight. But when you're broke, you're not supposed to be looking for passive income. You feel me? You're not supposed to be looking for the thing that's going to make you money in your sleep. You need to be awake and you need to be working. You need to be tapping into those 100% return on investments because you're investing your time, your capital, all of your knowledge and your experience. People who tap into the passive income, the dividend investors, these guys either have money or they have very, very low risk, not management, but low risk tolerances. So if you already have like a good job where you're making good money, you don't really particularly hate the situation you're in, dividend investing is a great side income that'll make you a great amount of money when you retire. That's that Warren Buffett stuff. He's old, he's rich, it works. If you're broke and you're young and you have maybe a higher risk tolerance because you're broke and you're young and you don't have much to lose and you have all the time in the world, go start a business and make some real money. So that's kind of I quickly found that out after tapping into this opportunity here. So we kept searching and I run into a situation where, because back in like 2020, people who were marketing Amazon, it sounded like snake oil salesmen. It just sounded so fishy, but it was legit and it did change my life 100%. That's the interesting thing. It's like I want to say nowadays, there's just so much social proof. There's so much receipts. There's so much evidence, just numbers and just backing in terms of, people who are in the game and people who are legit compared to or maybe I'm just so deep in the trenches that that's all I see all day, every day. But back then, I just didn't see any of that stuff. And it seemed super fishy. And it might seem that way for someone who's on the outside trying to figure things out, someone who's on the outside who's not really exposed to money ecosystems, internet money, communities and things of that nature. They might see it the same way I saw it back in 2020. So this was the process that community of resellers kind of taught me when I was first getting started. You join the community of resellers, the admins will provide you everything. I was 100% dependent on them providing us the opportunities to go find, buy them, list them, sell them, and then pack them. This part is super simple, super easy. This is the key, right? Sourcing. How are you sourcing? How are you finding opportunities? This is what you kind of have to figure out how to do yourself, or you'll never be able to be successful independently. And that's what I did figure out over time, right? It did take me maybe a year or two to really get a process down for myself. But that's how you stay within the game, and that's how you keep your businesses alive, is being able to consistently find profitable opportunities that you can sell on Amazon. So we keep pushing, and I start, right? My first month, I did 4K in sales. That's major. For someone who's never touched business, for someone who's worked a 9 to 5 his entire life, keep in mind that's not much life. That's like 2 decades. For someone who's just been flipping burgers for like $10 an hour to immediately do 4K a month on his own, mind-boggling. So it changed everything for me. Not too long later, I did 13K a month. That's in August 2020. So this is what kind of, built my foundation and kind of created the proof that, hey, man, this internet money stuff is legit. And as soon as I felt that with my own hands, right, and I touched those numbers and I touched that money in my bank, I was like, oh, we about to do something serious. And that's pretty much what happened. At that time, I had the keys. They gave me the sauce. I started working it. Sporting goods were really good. So I started pumping those. This is the garage I used to live in within my apartment complex. I mean, I not live here. I used to store my inventory here. But they kicked me out. Them boys was hating. They were like, no business use. Even though other people used it for their tools and all their other stuff, they said you can only put your car in it. So, of course, they kicked me out because we were, breaking the lease. That's fine. We left, got a 10 by 10 storage unit, and went crazy. There is so much money in this picture. These Bowflex 552s, you could get this for like 100. I can't remember the exact prices. But when I tell you, you were making 5, 6, 7x your investment with these particular items here, these were diamonds. If these are golds, these were diamonds back in those days. You see what I'm saying? So that December, we went even crazier. Right through the end of 2020, we started playing more toys because, of course, Christmas, toys. So we're starting to move these, and we did just really, really well. Man, I don't even want to think about it. That's the year, I think that's the year Chadwick Boseman also passed away. Rest in peace. Yeah, this just reminds me, because this is something I bought before, and man, rest in peace to OG. But basically, this here is my results, my first year, I think. Fast forward 10 months using the same exact process, I'm sitting at almost 200K in both eBay and Amazon. So if I started April 2020, by October 2021, this is where we were sitting on both eBay and Amazon. So we were doing pretty decent for someone who was kind of navigating the landscape himself. He had a ton of value given to him, but like they'll give you the leads and you would just have to go into the wilderness and kind of figure things out. So I'm saying like the resources that are available today are just so much better than the resources that were available back in the day. It's just that the game was ridiculously easy back then. So even though we didn't have the resources, we didn't have to do much. We just kind of woke up, bought stuff, sold stuff, and made a ton of money. While now, even though those situations pop up, like, back to school in August, you have a similar situation where you can just wake up, buy stuff, sell stuff, make a ton of money. But the amount of information about how to do that is just abundantly available now. So this was the end of October. And what I would say I'm at now is a little bit different just in terms of the game. And what I really like to focus on and what I'm kind of passionate about is virtual assistants. These are people you can hire that can run your business for you, and they're not even in the US. So I like to hire people out of the Philippines for $3 an hour, and they will do my sourcing, my product research. They will do all of my admin, my day-to-day work. They will purchase my inventory for me. They'll make sure my account is spotless and clean and healthy and all those different things. Basically, they run the things for me in a very competent and high level, and I'm able to provide them all of the training they need to be successful. I'm able to basically outsource a lot of the moving pieces within my business to great help that you can just bring in, but it doesn't cost you as much. That's the key factor, is that you can start them at $3 an hour. And that's the powerful bit, right? Before, back in the day, let's go back to the 1980s, or not even that, the 1800s. If you wanted to start a business, you needed a ton of money. You needed the right connections. You needed to be in the right room at the right time. You needed to know people. It wasn't about what you knew. It was about who you knew. But now we're in a situation where you don't need a ton of money to start. The internet is giving you access to a ton of information all at once. The person you need to contact is one DM away. He's over there. Just click his profile and click message. He's right there. You can hire employees, people who are good at what they do, that you just need to show them how to do it. And you don't have to pay them like $1,000. Like, you can pay them good money for their country. Like in the Philippines, this is it's a decent wage to start. But as they grow, as they become more skilled, you can increase their pay. So like, let's say 8, 9, 7.5 an hour. And someone in the US might be like, no, but in the Philippines, that's game changers. That's life-changing money. So that's kind of where I'm sitting. Prep centers. These are 3PL services, third-party logistics. That means they'll come through, they'll receive your inventory, they'll pack it, they'll prep it, and they'll send it into Amazon FBA warehousing for you. So these are your systems. These are the processes that you can bring into your business that help buy you more time and create more consistency. So you can continuously build on top of that without sacrificing even more time to create more cash. Because when you're working a 9-to-5, this is your situation. We can call X your time. We can call Y. I love how I did that wrong. We can call extra time. We can call Y your hours earned. So if I want to increase my money earned, I have to increase the time I spent working. This is a regular 9-to-5. Our goal is this. We want to do this here. Boom. Where it's not so linear. Well, it might be on the same path, but this is our experience. This is our time gaining experience. And then boom, it explodes up. And then if we can increase the time spent increasing our income without directly increasing the time invested, that's the kind of game you want to play. So while it might be able to go on the same path, like if we were to continuously draw this out, the goal is to eventually make that longer and longer to the point where it outpaces how much we're working, right? That's the cool thing. It's like, okay, you could work every day of your life and make, 1%, 3% every single year. Or you could run a business that might do nothing the first year. It might do decent the second year. And then it might completely replace all 4 years of a regular job in a single month. That's the explosive exponential results a business can create for someone that a 9-to-5 just won't produce. You can get better. You can get more competent. You can become more skilled at a 9-to-5, but it's structured so that they don't have to pay you more. The better you get at a business, the smarter you get, the more experience you gain, the more you receive as a benefit. The risk is the fact that you don't receive anything until you're good, right? So that's kind of where I'm at now. It's like, okay, let's start building these processes and these systems to really help us build a business and to create an online income that's not so much determined on how long I work. And that's really where I'm at right now.